Scott Faughn should be put on the KTRS payroll since he's doing so much work for us down in Jefferson City. He, of course, is the founder and publisher of a great newspaper and a great website, the Missouri Times. Scott Faughn, welcome back to Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, McGraw. What a week in Jefferson City. And then you get to come back to St. Louis, and it's a Donald Trump rally downtown. How do you top that?
No kidding. All right, so it started the week with the filibuster, and as you told us earlier in the week that the Republicans cut off the filibuster, and now it seems like the Republicans are upset with other Republicans for cutting off a Democratic filibuster?
Well, you work so hard, and we all like to malign politicians, but honestly, working into the State House is a lot of work. And then you have to do 5 times that much work to become a state senator. And the goal of the reason a state Senate seat is such a valuable thing is like in the U.S. Senate, a little bit like Mr. Smith goes to Washington. You don't often do it, but you always can take to the floor and hold the floor as long as you can stand up. And you can also threaten to do that, which is probably even more potent. Well, when you take that away from the minority to stop legislation or slow it down, you also take it away from Republicans. Because let's be honest, the issues anymore, especially when you're talking about issues of equality or religious freedom protection, however you view this particular issue, not all Republicans are in lockstep on this. A lot of Republicans wanted to protect the clergy from being forced to perform a ceremony that they didn't want to, but not commercial businesses. And there was a schism inside that they all voted for the old thing of the day, but you had 3 senators who don't want to go back to the House way of doing things. And they stood up very vocally and joined the Democrats in filibustering the Journal. The Democrats, led by Joe Kevany, and I got to say, Joe Kevany from St. Louis is the minority leader, very affable, kind man. There was a different Joe Kevany in the Senate. He was forceful. He had a lot of moral authority. He personally held the floor for 8 hours. His constituents have something to be proud of today, and I think everybody in the Senate respects him more.
Okay, so how does this resolve itself? It sounds like it is a dysfunctional chamber right now.
Well, it's sort of like when the Cardinals pitchers have some lagging arm injuries, and they're all kind of looking forward to the All-Star break to get a week off, get to skip a couple turns in the rotation, and rejuvenate them. Not this coming week, but the week after is spring break in the legislature. So the hope is the Democrats will if they don't stop things next week, they'll be rolled forever. It'll be a dark time for the state Senate. But the thought is Democrats will object to every motion. We'll force them to read the Journal. We'll go to great lengths to make it very painful to do business next week. And then the week after spring break, they'll sit down with cooler heads. They'll have a break from seeing each other every day and come back and do some modicum of normal business because they still have a budget to pass.
Yeah. Well, hopefully in the week off, cooler heads prevail. They can harass some interns, cheat on their wives, and sort of get back to business. I'm sorry. Was it mic on?
That's the mainstream treatment they're used to having.
All right, Scott. We also have to touch base because you broke a very interesting story on the Missouri Times website, and that is you found Navy SEALs who admitted that they were the ones behind that Eric Greitens YouTube video.
Well, it came to us after there was the hubbub about a month ago when this pretty well-produced video came out. And because of the tensions and the infighting between the John Brunner campaign and the Eric Greitens campaign, most folks, including me, I generally tacitly assumed Brunner had something to do with it. And then the Eric Greitens talked to the Post-Dispatch and pretty well inferred that it was John Brunner's campaign. It comes to find out there was 16 Navy SEALs that were part of it, and they have an ethos. And they believe that now Navy SEALs are going and talking to the media, trying to get fame and credit for their service. And a big part of the Navy SEAL ethos is silent professionalism. You do the most for the least credit. And one SEAL alleges that Eric Greitens did the least for the most credit. Now, I didn't serve. The reporter that worked on the story didn't serve. It's hard for me to criticize, but these gentlemen have kind of earned their spurs and their right to speak up. Where it affects the campaign is that Greitens did accuse Brunner of this, and he was wrong. I mean, it just wasn't John Brunner. I'm confident in that. Greitens did not apologize for that, but what he did do is he lays out that these are people with axes to grind, and I guess it goes back to a little bit of a swift voting, but this is inter-Republican swift voting, so we'll see how it's taken.
Yeah, how much damage do you think it's going to do on the campaign trail?
Well, Eric Greitens' donors are donors from mostly not from Missouri. They're from the East Coast and a little bit of California. So I don't know how much damage it does with his donors, but I do think it will. The next time he he alleges something against John Brunner, or makes an attack against another Republican for being dishonest, or says like the House and Senate leadership in Jeff City, which are also Republicans, are corrupt, I think it makes it gives him less credibility to make those attacks.
Yeah.
And we'll see. It could be that Eric Greitens challenges these people to come forward and they take him up on it. I would say probably the way Eric Greitens handles the story starting next week and over the weekend at the big St. Louis County Lincoln Days will probably chart the course for where the story goes from here.
Scott Faughn, publisher and founder of the Missouri Times, themissouritimes.com. Also, you host that show Sunday mornings on ABC 30. Who's on the show Sunday?
Oh, we have State Auditor Nicole Galloway. Then we have a supporter for each of the presidential campaigns. So we're hoping for a Donnybrook put on This Week in Missouri Politics.
All right. Well, actually, it'd be an interesting Donnybrook at least. Scott Faughn, MissouriTimes.com. Have a good trip, Scott. Thanks for checking in.